The cleaner knew the CEO's biggest secret. The old cleaning woman was never supposed to hear the scream. It came from the CEO's private office at exactly 11:47 p.m. "Please, don't do this to my daughter." Margaret froze. The voice wasn't the CEO's. It belonged to another man. Then came the CEO's cold reply. "If she talks, everything is over." Silence. A loud crash. Margaret's heart nearly stopped. She slowly pushed her cleaning cart closer. The office door was slightly open. Inside, a wealthy billionaire stood over a frightened man kneeling on the floor. And on the desk sat a photograph of a young woman. Across the photo were 3 terrifying words. "Missing for 10 years." Margaret backed away. She had worked in the building for 18 years. She had seen arguments, affairs, and secret meetings. But never anything like this. What she didn't know was that the photo on that desk would soon destroy one of the most powerful companies in America. The next morning, the entire city woke up to shocking news. A young investigative journalist named Sarah Collins had vanished. No phone, no messages, no witnesses, nothing. Her face appeared on television. Margaret nearly dropped her coffee. It was the same woman from the photograph. The scream from the night before echoed inside her mind. "Please, don't do this to my daughter." Margaret felt sick. Why did the CEO have Sarah's picture? Late one evening, Margaret found a flash drive hidden behind a trash can near the executive offices. Attached was a small yellow note. It contained only 3 words. "Trust nobody. Run." Her hands shook. Something told her not to turn it over to security. Instead, she slipped it into her pocket. That decision would change her life forever. At home, she plugged the flash drive into her old laptop. Thousands of files appeared. Financial records, secret contracts, private emails, hidden bank accounts. The deeper she looked, the worse it became. Millions of dollars had vanished. Margaret couldn't believe what she was seeing. The company wasn't just corrupt. It was operating like a criminal organization. Then she opened one final folder. Its name was simple. Sarah. Inside were photographs, investigation notes, and video recordings. And one document. The title made Margaret stop breathing. "Evidence prepared before my disappearance." Sarah had uncovered everything. The corruption, the stolen money, the bribery, the fraud. She had collected enough evidence to send powerful executives to prison. Then she vanished. Margaret felt cold. Had someone silenced her? And if so, who? The answer came sooner than expected. The next night, Margaret arrived at work and found security waiting. 3 guards approached immediately. "Mr. Harrison wants to see you." Mr. Harrison, the CEO. Fear rushed through her body. Had they discovered the flash drive? The guards escorted her upstairs. The private elevator opened directly into the CEO's office. The billionaire sat alone. For the first time, he looked exhausted, broken, old. "Margaret," he said quietly, "we need to talk." She expected threats. Instead, he asked a question. "Did you find the flash drive?" Margaret froze. There was no point lying. "Yes." To her surprise, he nodded. Then he whispered something she never expected. "Good." The CEO opened a drawer. Inside were dozens of photographs. Every picture showed Sarah, smiling, laughing, growing older. Then Margaret noticed something. The CEO's eyes. Sarah's eyes. Identical. Her heart skipped a beat. "She's your daughter." The CEO closed his eyes and nodded. For several seconds, neither spoke. Then the billionaire began explaining. After his wife died, he buried himself in work. He missed every important moment of Sarah's life. Eventually, she left and became a journalist. For years, they barely spoke. Then Sarah started investigating his company. When she uncovered corruption, she believed her father was involved. But he wasn't. His own board of directors had secretly been stealing money for years. When Sarah got too close to the truth, she disappeared. The CEO's voice cracked. "I haven't seen my daughter in 10 years, Margaret frowned. Then whose voice did I hear that night? The CEO looked down. Sarah's former editor. Margaret's stomach tightened. He knows where she is. The next morning, the editor disappeared. Gone. Just like Sarah. Then Margaret received an anonymous message. The text contained only one sentence. "Stop searching or you're next." For the first time, she considered walking away. She was just a cleaner, not a detective, not a hero. But she couldn't forget Sarah. She decided she wasn't quitting. 3 days later, everything exploded. The CEO held an emergency press conference. News channels interrupted regular programming. Reporters filled the room. The CEO stepped to the microphone. His face was pale. His hands shook. Then he said 7 words that changed everything. "My company has been lying to you." The room erupted. The CEO immediately revealed the evidence. Secret accounts, bribes, fraud, money laundering, everything. Board members tried to leave. Federal agents stopped them. Executives were arrested live on television. The company collapsed within hours. It became the biggest corporate scandal in decades. But Margaret noticed something strange. The CEO never mentioned Sarah. Not once. Then came the final twist. 24 hours after the conference, Margaret heard a knock at her apartment door. She opened it and nearly fainted. A young woman stood outside, thin, exhausted, but alive, very much alive. It was Sarah. Tears instantly filled Margaret's eyes. "How?" Sarah smiled weakly. "The board kept me hidden." For months, she had been moved between safe houses, prevented from contacting anyone. But once the arrests began, one frightened executive helped her escape in exchange for immunity. She was finally free. A week later, something incredible happened. Father and daughter met for the first time in 10 years. No cameras, no reporters, no headlines. Just a small cafe. Margaret sat quietly in the corner. The CEO entered first. Sarah arrived minutes later. Neither spoke. Then Sarah started crying. The CEO started crying too. And after 10 years of silence, they hugged. Because in that moment, none of the money mattered. None of the scandals mattered. A father had found his daughter. And a daughter had found her father. Several months later, the corrupt executives were sentenced to prison. Sarah returned to journalism. The CEO resigned and disappeared from public life. One evening, Margaret received a package. Inside was a framed photograph. It showed Sarah and her father smiling together on a beach at sunset. On the back was a handwritten note. It read, "Everyone thought a billionaire saved his daughter. The truth is different. A cleaner saved us both." Margaret stared at the words, then smiled. Because after 18 years of being invisible, someone had finally noticed her. And sometimes the most important person in a building isn't the CEO. It's the person everyone thinks doesn't matter.